Welcome to InfoSec World 2025. We're here recording live from the Cyber Risk TV studio on the expo floor at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort in Orlando. I'm your host, Mandy Logan, and joining me for this interview is Perry Schumacher, Chief Strategy Officer and Partner at Ridge IT Cyber. Welcome, Perry.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I am so very glad you're here. And as we got to briefly touch on before we began recording, I was very intrigued and encouraged by your background precisely because of the non-conventional nature it
Yes.
has. That is something near and dear to my heart, as I ended up here in a very exceedingly non-traditional way.
Yep.
And find it to be such a mark of even cybersecurity and defense and offensive strategists, like whenever we have that mental ability to not just pivot,
Yeah.
I'm going to use the corporate term, not just pivot,
Yeah.
but to understand that there's a lot that goes into survival, adjustment, preparation, and then being able to actually substantially build what will work long term.
Yep.
It sounds to me like a lot of your focus has gone into not just what you're doing at the moment, but what will take care of large organizations and even mid-sized organizations.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep in the technical things, will you tell me like at least 3 key points from your unique trajectory that you pull from, like whether that's from pumping gas in the Amazon, intriguing things in Africa,
Yeah.
the aeronautical space, like
Yeah.
tell me.
Well, the first thing is be a student. I think that's, when you have a background like mine and you've done so many different varied things, you have to be willing to study. Stay up late at night, figure out what it is that you need to be doing, how you need to be doing it. I think another thing that I learned by doing all of that is kind of just don't have sacred cows. Don't marry your ideas. Because it will stop you from being able to study properly. When you're pivoting, a good idea in this sector may be a bad idea in another. And it's just the same idea, right? And based on context is how you actually need to approach a problem. And I think those are probably two of the key things, between doing all the weird things that I've done that kind of stuck with me. And then anything, philosophy is a great guide for life.
It very much is. So with philosophy, your mention of that, what is Ridge IT's philosophy when it comes to really supporting mid-sized organizations?
Yeah. Well, first off, I like to, when I'm talking with my clients, the idea is you got to have like a target. Like, so what's the goal of cybersecurity? Why are we doing this in the first place? And I like to simplify it because it can get very detailed and complex when you go into the nuance. Everybody has a tool,
Okay.
Zero Trust, Comply to Connect, there's acronyms galore. But at the end of the day, if we're in cybersecurity, we're after 2 key objectives. One is we need to keep the business running. So no ransomware, no interruptions. That's what our job is. 2 is protect the data. So if we can funnel every solution that we look at underneath those 2 primary objectives, things make a lot more sense, right? So it's kind of keeping things simple because they do get complex as to how you go about doing it.
Right.
But understanding that really is all you're doing kind of can help you simplify your way through that logical path you've got to go to make a decision.
Well, absolutely. And then do you feel that when you're discussing options with your clients, you are providing guardrails that give them the most useful outcome?
Well, that's always the goal, right? But the reality is that when you're talking to a mid-sized company, there's more than just, I want the best solution out there that can secure me, because that comes with a price tag. And every one of us are dealing with a budget. So it's about working through these compromises of, hey, I can't quite afford this solution. It's the best one. But maybe if I buy this one and I configure this that way, I can get a similar outcome while staying within the budget that my executives have blessed me with, and not going over it. So I think a lot of it is understanding enough solutions and enough configurations to help people kind of navigate that space.
Well, that sounds like a very fulfilling and a substantially grounded way to allow mid-sized organizations who I have a lot of respect for. I mean, I have a lot of respect for all individuals who are beginning companies or
Yeah.
are in any portion of such extreme development. So small, medium, large, there
Yeah.
is so much to handle.
Yeah.
But mid-sized companies, I feel like, there's that little, the forgotten stepchild, the
Yeah.
forgotten
No, it's true.
middle child, that they may be so robust in what they actually want to bring to market and bring to the world.
Yeah.
But they do generally have not necessarily I never want to disparage any person, but they won't have the cream of the crop pick necessarily if
Yeah.
you're going based on standard metrics that are valued. Now,
Yeah.
you may run into a situation, as I have seen often in dealing with security practitioners and researchers and in public sector, where you have individuals that are heart-based or they have a motivation toward what they are doing.
Yeah.
And they feel extreme stress around the giant attack surface they have to handle
Yeah.
with the smaller budget and perhaps only a 3-person IT.
Yeah.
And that's not even, we're not discussing just security. We're talking an
Yeah.
entire,
Yeah. That's their IT
it's
staff.
the whole IT
Yeah.
staff.
The networking guy's part-time gig is security. Yeah.
Exactly. So what have you found that Ridge IT really excels at whenever you're discussing options with a team who has such streamlined resources and functionality but may have a very deep desire to perform extremely well?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that, there's several levers we can pull to kind of lower operating costs, right? So you've got the first thing, I call it build the house, right? So what does it cost to do an implementation? And that's all kind of one-time fees. And then after that, it's the operational cost that really matters. Because that's what hits the bottom line over the next 3, 4, 5 years for the organization. Each one of these tools, they have integrations, APIs that we can leverage that make them a little bit more robust. And by doing that, we can lower the human cost on their side, right? So we don't need quite as many people inside of your IT staff because we've integrated the solutions where, say Zscaler talks to CrowdStrike and tells it to do an action based on what it saw. Well, that's one less person that really has to take an action. That's less time you spend because the tools are interacting with each other and doing that task. So you're more supervising the thing that was done than trying to find out what was wrong and do it yourself. So there's a cost savings there for them and being able to get that 3-man team to be more functional. And then there's the typical part where it's like, hey, we'll monitor your environment for you. We do it for a lot of people, so economies of scale. We have qualified people with playbooks. We make sure that we clear the house every time we see a detection, and we can add on to your team. And the key thing with us that I think makes us a little bit different, a lot of people, when they engage you, they want to be like, oh, well, I own the environment. I'm going to take away your admin rights, and I have the admin rights. And to me, that never made sense as an entrepreneur myself. If you try to tell me you're going to take control away from me and I'm going to pay you for the privilege, it's just not going to go well, that conversation. So our business doesn't engage in that. We really look at it as, you've got 3 people, which you should for your continuity. You should never allow me to replace your team. I think that's bad for your business. And then we're an extension to them. And that's really where we strive to be. We have specialized skill sets that those 3 people have no reason to develop because they're taking care of your ERP, be it SAP or QuickBooks.
Right.
They're taking care of Salesforce. And the guy learned Salesforce last week.
Right.
And by learn it, he watched a YouTube video.
Absolutely.
Right. So he's having to have this breadth of knowledge between those 3 people. And now you've got this one area of cybersecurity that if you fail, it can have significant consequence to your business. He doesn't have the time. So you get the tools, you set it up, get some economy there. You look for a good partner that actually wants to do a value add situation, and you partner there, and you can get that at a cost that most small businesses can find very palatable, right? And that's what we try to do.
And so in a few words, what is your passion at Ridge IT that like we do this portion on top of it? This is our bread and butter because we are so good at it.
I mean, there's a lot, really. We partner with certain vendors where we have a deep skill set that even the vendors themselves will tell you that we're better at deploying their solutions than they are.
Understood. Yeah.
So we've really taken pride in selecting just a few of the best in breed, and we built out a team to support each one of those solutions. So if you
Yeah.
buy something from us, you're like, hey, I want to buy CrowdStrike or something like that. When you call us and need help or advice or something, we actually have the people that will have the answer, that know how to do the deployments, the implementations, the
Oh,
best
nice.
practices. You have that all in one place, unlike some vendors, and there's nothing wrong with this, that you buy the solution, and if you call for help, they'll giggle, and they're like, that's really cute, but we sell it, we don't really support it, right? So we support everything that we have, and I think that's kind of, I guess that's our calling card. And we've been doing zero trust since before it became a marketing buzzword. So pre-COVID, we developed a zero trust architecture. During COVID, we got to test how good it actually was.
Really?
Because during COVID, everybody got budget. Everybody wanted to
That's
move
true.
to least privilege access, zero trust, comply to connect, much of the same concepts under different banners, right? And we've seen our solution work over and over again. We're employing it to the government. So I think that's I guess, a specialty from a technical perspective is creating that architecture, that ecosystem for our clients.
That's gorgeous. And so during that time with COVID, um, in in my own ecosphere, in my brain,
Yeah.
what goes on, I think of the mid-sized companies that were faced with such an extremely complex pivot to remote work,
Oh, yeah.
to cloud storage, to many other things that hadn't been the norm. And
Absolutely.
they were then stretched not just wide, but like
Yeah.
to the depth and height that no one could have expected.
Yeah.
And that to me makes, just as a person, we're not even going into the technical details and into GRC and policies and everything else that has to be handled. Were there any particular moments that stick out with mid-sized companies during COVID that you go, wow, we were able to help the human firewall and help
Oh,
their
100%.
security?
I mean, we get phone calls. During COVID is when a lot of people realize that free VPN doesn't work very well when you try to scale it across the company, right?
Absolutely not. Right.
So they wake up one morning and they're like, "Hey, we can't go to the office, but everybody somehow needs to connect." And that free VPN just ain't cutting the work. And so they're desperately calling, like, how can I get something? And if we all remember during COVID, try to go buy hardware. That was fun. Oh, it's going to come from China. Oh, great.
Excellent.
Yeah, on a boat. Okay, yeah. So let's just wait until after COVID, it will arrive. So they couldn't turn to those things. And so with a couple of SASE solutions, and that's when SASE started really growing in the market, right? So we were able to turn people around where they're calling on Friday going, I don't know how we're going to continue running the business. Do you guys have anything? And go, sure, here it is. It's affordable. If you sign this today, by Monday, you're running again. And we did that over and over and over again for hundreds of companies, getting a phone call within 2 to 3 days, getting them up and running and operational with their people working from home. And that was I didn't get to sleep a lot during COVID. It was a very intense time for the company, but we helped a tremendous amount of people when they didn't know what SASE was and how quickly we could deploy this and expand your I don't care that your people are at home. I don't care where they're sitting. It doesn't matter to us. They can go to not the moon. There's no internet there, but short of someplace without internet, you can go anywhere you want. We're going to protect you. You're going to be fine. You're going to be able to get access to your resources. And we did that for a tremendous amount of people.
How comforting, and going with the idea that security is an emotion or it's a feeling.
Yeah.
That is beneficial.
Yeah.
Now, we have pretty much abundantly used our time.
Yeah.
And so for our audience, I want to encourage that they look into the keynote that your CEO gave earlier.
Absolutely.
And I want to mention a few things that we didn't get to. From the keynote, I was curious about the 12-week deployment timeline and what that particularly referenced, so perhaps our audience can contact your company and understand that more.
Yeah.
And I also understand that is there some kind of technology partnership you have with Gartner?
No, we work primarily with Zscaler, CrowdStrike, not with
Okay,
Gartner.
not with Gartner. Okay, and what else in the last 10 seconds that we have, what else would you really like to drive home to the hearts and souls of those people on the front line trying to figure out what to do?
Don't lose faith. They'll give you budget eventually. No, when you're looking at security, again, I just like to drive home the first point is when communicating to some executives, we've got to understand the purpose, right? Which again, business continuity. The reason that you have me here as a cybersecurity professional is to make sure that this business continues to run. There's no disruption in operations. And the second reason you have me here is to make sure that all the key data of this company remains secure and within this company at all times. And just really using that as your tool internally to justify why you need things. I think an executive, from my perspective, has a little further understanding of that and kind of going down that talk track and what lies in, and maybe that will be helpful to them. I find it helpful to some of our clients.
That makes complete sense. And I'm thinking, too, we didn't get to touch on it, but being able to get the executives to understand that the benefits that come with AI and also the risks in adjusting there.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic we need to get to, but
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today, Perry.
Well, I appreciate it.
So to find out more about Ridge IT Cyber, please visit securityweekly.com/Ridge ISW. Thank you, Perry, for joining us. Now, thank you all for joining us at InfoSec World 2025, and please visit securityweekly.com/ISW for more information. Stick around. We'll be back after a short break with more interviews.